Chris Wallace with WG Financial Group has been helping families here in the Huntsville area plan for a successful retirement. Chris strives to understand all of your financial needs to help guide you on the path to your retirement goals, creating income in retirement, maximizing your savings, and minimizing taxes. Chris has the strategies you need to help you sustain a successful retirement. Welcome to the Rocket City Retirement Show with Chris Wallace.
With everything that's been going on, we know many of you have questions about retirement and how your portfolio is doing. And that's why today we want to spend our entire show answering some of the biggest questions people here in Huntsville have about their financial future and their retirement. Chris, it's great to be here with you again.
It's great to be here with you as well.
Okay, so like I said, today we're going to dig into our Rocket City Retirement mailbag. And our very first question comes from Carl in Tony. And he says, I've been worried about the markets and if we'll continue to see more volatility ahead. I don't want to take any more big losses. How long should I be in cash before I try to get back into the markets?
Wow, this is a really good question. So let me address a couple of things first. When we're talking about going to cash, this is something I've become famous for saying, but you have to be right twice. You have to be right on when to go to cash, and you have to be right on when to get back into the market. It's usually the latter that becomes the big problem on determining when to get back in. Think of it like it's the spring and the weather's starting to warm up and you go to the pool and you stick your foot in the water and you're like, oh, it's too cold. And then you go back and I'm going to do it again. I'm going to get in the water this time. And you get a little bit, you're like, no, I can't do it. Well, you end up not getting in the pool because it's just too cold at that point. And you'll just sit there and lay out in the sun or do whatever. That's the same thing that happens when it comes to the way that you view the market. You're in cash and you think that things are going to get worse. You think that the market is going to go down further, or that the U.S. is going to, crash and not be in existence anymore. And what I tell people is the best thing that you can do in your entire portfolio and your retirement situation is create a longer time horizon. So let me go back to 1989. In 1989, the S&P closed at 353. At the end of 2023, the S&P was at 4769. That's a 1,200% increase over that time frame. Now, during that time frame, there was all types of volatility. The market went up, the market went down. And so what I would encourage you to do is just think about it for a second and put yourself back in the 1989. Let's just pretend that we were there and we know the market's at 353. It had 8 positive years before that. So 8 positive years. At the end of 1989, it closed at 353. And then what we saw in 2023, the market's at 4769. Volatility is always going to be there. You have to create a long time horizon for your investment and your retirement so that you will understand that you can absorb those ups and downs if you have your investment structured properly.
Right, very good. So we can't time the market. Nobody has, a crystal ball.
No, not even the best mutual fund managers in the world can do that.
Yeah.
Because if they could do that, we would all have our money with them.
Right.
They would be the most popular mutual fund manager in the entire world because we'd all have our money there. They would be the only one. Nobody does it perfectly.
Right. Okay, very good. Next question comes from Kent in Harvest. And he says, I've worked at a hospital here for almost 18 years. I was planning to work a full 20 before I retired, but now I'm thinking about retiring earlier than I'd planned. Before I give my notice, how do I make sure I'm ready to retire?
When it comes to his question, it sounds like he doesn't have a relationship with an advisor currently. So that would be step one. So like I always say, whether that's us or whether that's someone else, establish that relationship. We feel like somebody should look at establishing a relationship with an advisory firm about 7 to 10 years out from retirement. That way you can start working on a plan. Well, in this case, it seems like we're a little bit closer than that. So the first thing I would do is recommend establishing that relationship with somebody. And what I would do is interview a couple people to make sure that you're picking the right one that you want to work with, and then sit down and go over your entire situation with them and build out and construct a plan that's going to match your goals and objectives in retirement. And then for them, the advisor or the firm, to be able to give you the green light on whether or not you can retire.
And I bet you get this question a lot from a lot of people who come in.
Oh,
They
absolutely.
want to know, am I ready to retire?
Can I do it?
Yeah.
Some people come in and
Yeah.
they're there. They're there. They've won the race, but they don't know they've won the race until they sit down with us and we talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Another question for you comes from Tim in Huntsville. And he says, a couple of friends I work with are retiring at age 62 and claiming Social Security benefits. I thought I had to wait until 70 to take Social Security.
Another excellent question. This is why we're doing this episode. I love all of these questions. So first of all, you can claim a 62 if you want to. But by doing so, you're going to give yourself about a 30% haircut in benefit permanent if your full retirement age is at 67. So what we always say is you should think about more than just claiming Social Security at 62. There are a lot of factors that go into the claiming strategy with Social Security, but people want to treat it like a game. And let's face it, you and I know this. If we go to a store and we're shopping and maybe I want to buy a new suit jacket, I'm looking for something on sale because I want to find a deal. I don't want to get gypped. And one of my radio hosts that's on the show with me on our radio show said that people treat Social Security like a game. And that's exactly the feeling that I also get when I talk to people is they don't want to get gypped. They treat it like a game and they want to win the game and they think claiming early wins the game. But we have something called longevity and many of us are living a lot longer. So claiming at 62 means that you're going to get a 30% reduction for a longer period of time. There are three things that I think you should focus on when claiming Social Security. One of those is taxes. Right off the bat, Social Security is taxed more efficiently. Only up to 85% of it is subject to retax. Your IRA, on the other hand, is subject to 100% tax. When it's withdrawn, it's subject to ordinary income tax at 100% of it. Social Security, only 85%. So there's tax favorability there. If you are a high income earner and your spouse is a low income earner, you have to think long and hard. Should you collect now or should you wait on collecting? Because if you collect now, it's going to permanently reduce their benefit should you pass away. So you may be indirectly harming them and not knowing that you're harming them because you've claimed early. And then lastly, you want to take your health into consideration. Break even is not even on the table for me. Those are the big three things that I look at because I don't want to treat Social Security like a game.
Right. Okay. Gosh, thank you so much for your insights, Chris. So if you have any questions about retirement, don't hesitate to reach out to Chris and the team at WG Financial Group. Stay with us. Chris will continue to answer some of your questions about retirement when we return.
There are some things you can't avoid, but you can avoid overpaying taxes in retirement. You may think your taxes will go down in retirement, but that's not always true. In fact, sometimes your tax liability could go up. We're offering a free guide to show how you may be able to pay fewer taxes in retirement. Learn how different retirement accounts are taxed and options to help make your retirement income more tax efficient, all in easy to understand terms. Download this free tax guide now to help keep what's yours and avoid overpaying taxes in retirement.
You have a club for every scenario. A driver for the long holes. Wedges to get you over the hazards. And a putter for when you need a touch of finesse. What about your retirement? Will you have enough to play the back nine? Call to set your 15-minute phone visit today and let's find out. Get a second set of eyes on your retirement plan.
There are some things you can't avoid, but you can avoid overpaying taxes in retirement. You may think your taxes will go down in retirement, but that's not always true. In fact, sometimes your tax liability could go up. We're offering a free guide to show how you may be able to pay fewer taxes in retirement. Learn how different retirement accounts are taxed and options to help make your retirement income more tax efficient, all in easy to understand terms. Download this free tax guide now to help keep what's yours and avoid overpaying taxes in retirement. Just when you may want to forget your age, Uncle Sam says not so fast. Knowing your age is more important than ever when it comes to taking your required minimum distributions, or RMDs. Legislation just changed the age requirement, and not accounting for that could impact your retirement plan. It could be key to not overpaying on taxes in retirement. So remember, when it comes to RMDs, age is more than just a number. Before your next birthday, call today to secure a strategy for the RMD age change and your retirement.
You're watching the Rocket City Retirement Show with Chris Wallace.
Welcome back to this special edition of the Rocket City Retirement Show. Today, it's all about you. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer, here with Chris Wallace of WG Financial Group, and we're answering some of your retirement questions today. Chris, are you ready to dive back in?
Absolutely.
I am too. Okay, I know you always love this. So this question comes from Gail in Newmarket, and it says, Chris, one of the vehicles that I've been reading about lately is an HSA. I was wondering if you could explain in simple terms what an HSA is and how it can be beneficial as a savings vehicle.
Yeah, Gail is on the right track. She's just reading the right stuff. I think HSAs are great for a lot of people. So let's talk about that. The first thing that I want to mention is that HSAs sound similar to FSAs. So when I've been talking to people in the past, I'll ask the question, do you have an HSA? And they'll say, oh, yes, I do. And the next question I ask is, do you have to have all of the money spent out of it by the end of the year? Oh, yes, that's exactly what I have. Well, that's not an HSA. So an HSA and an FSA, they sound very similar. The FSA, you have to spend all of the money by the end of the year. The HSA, you're allowed to have the money continually roll over. An HSA must be paired with a high deductible health plan. So that means that if you have a health plan, it must be qualified so that you can contribute to an HSA, and it must fall under the high deductible health plan rules. And you can ask your benefits administrator about that. But we feel like they're great to utilize because the HSA is triple tax advantage. What do I mean by that? The money that goes into the HSA is tax deferred, just like your 401k or your IRA if you're using the pre-tax options. There's no tax paid going in. The HSA, for most of them, you're able to invest the money inside of the HSA. And so now inside of the HSA, the money's growing tax deferred and tax free. And when you pull it out for qualified medical expenses, and again, you can go to the IRS website and look at the list of what are qualified medical expenses. As long as you follow those rules, you've had money go in pre-taxed, it's growing tax deferred, and it comes out for qualified medical expenses tax free. It is one of the greatest vehicles in the tax code, and only about 10% of the population out there uses them. They are incredibly beneficial for younger people, incredibly beneficial. So what scares people away from using them? One, lack of knowledge, just not understanding what an HSA is relative to an FSA. And then secondly, the high deductible scares a lot of people. They say, oh, I don't want to have a high deductible. Well, most younger people are nice and healthy and they don't go to the doctor that much anyway. So it's to their benefit to carry a higher deductible plan in most cases because you're not going to the doctor a lot. And then you're able to defer more of your money. As you age, you're going to go to the doctor more. Just statistics show that. So having that HSA bucket there to be able to pull money out for qualified medical expenses is a phenomenal vehicle. It helps you reduce taxes, helps you pay for medical expenses. I think everybody watching the show should at least explore it, talk to your advisor, your CPA, and see if it works for you.
And this is all prior to retirement, right? Because once you're not working anymore, then you don't need it, or am I wrong?
Well, no, this is a great follow-up question,
Yeah.
so I'm really glad you asked that. You take it into retirement with you. So I personally own one. You know this because you work closely with me in a lot of cases. What I talk about on the air, on the radio, what I talk about on TV, what I talk about in the office, a lot of times I'm using some of those same vehicles. So I have an HSA. My plan for me is to take that HSA into retirement, and it is going to fund reading glasses that I wear today. It'll fund dental. It'll fund some hearing aids if I need them. My wife would tell you that I need them right now. I don't think that I do.
Or is it just that you're not listening to her?
Well, you know, selective hearing.
Exactly.
So the HSA, you take it into retirement and you can use that to pay for retirement healthcare expenses. And again, you can pull it out tax-free. Let me go a little bit further. And I'm kind of lengthy on this one question, but this is good stuff.
Yeah.
It's the worst vehicle in the world to die with in the tax code, because you have to pay, your beneficiaries have to pay the taxes in the year due. Your spouse can assume it, the kids can't. They're going to pay the taxes on it because remember, it's pre-taxed, right?
Yeah.
So you want to spend it when you're in retirement, you want to use it on those qualified expenses. The other thing about the HSA is at age 65, you can actually withdraw the money for anything at that point without any penalty whatsoever. If it's for anything other than qualified medical expenses, you will pay the income tax on the money just like you would an IRA. So essentially at 65, it's like having another IRA bucket, but you'll just have to pay the taxes if you pull money out for non-qualified medical expenses.
Right. See, so this is the kind of things that you will get from Chris and his team at WG Financial Group in depth. So awesome. Thank you. And now another question comes from Lynn in Hazel Green. She says, I've been hearing a lot about Roth IRAs. I'm wondering if I should do a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA.
Another really good question. So this is a big depends answer. So rule of thumb, and rules of thumb are just that, rules of thumb. I think you should seek the advice of a qualified professional to really help make this decision. But if you're younger and you're in what I would call your non-peak earning years, so you're making lower income, you're likely in a lower tax bracket. So in that case, we're big advocates of using more money in Roth. Now you can do that in a Roth IRA, but nowadays, I think it was 2006, I believe, the Roth 401k was introduced. But now a lot of 401k plans out there offer that Roth option. So if you're working for an employer that has a 401k and you're in a low tax bracket, when I say low, 10 to 12 and maybe even into the 22, you definitely should look at doing some of the money in Roth. Again, whether that's Roth IRA or Roth 401k. It's when you get into your higher income years. So let's say now you're in your peak years, you're in your 50s, and maybe if you're married and you're, both of your incomes are say 350,000, now you're up in that 24 bracket and you're looking for that tax deferral because you're looking for tax help today because you don't anticipate your bracket being that high in retirement. Then you might look to the pre-taxed option in an IRA or 401k.
Very good. I think I only have time for one more question here. This comes from Jim in Gurley. I'm tired of being a landlord on my properties, but I'm not sure if I should sell them. What are some of the pros and cons to renting out property as a supplement for retirement income?
Yeah, so great. I do not want to be a landlord either. That's just not something that I'm good at or I want to put up with in retirement. But I will say this, having some additional income from rental properties is nice for some people, and for some people it's not. So there's nice tax advantages with owning rental properties. If you do go to sell the property, I do want to warn you to be careful of the capital gains because you're going to have some capital gains in there because you've been depreciating the property, and you may say, well, I haven't been depreciating it. Well, the IRS is going to assume that you've been depreciating it. So when you go to sell it, you're going to have an adjusted basis and you're probably going to have some capital gains. That may impact your Medicare premiums due to something called the IRMA limit. So I would advise you to, again, talk with a financial professional, talk with a tax person, and make sure that you understand what the implications are tax-wise when you go to sell that property.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. We want to remind you that you don't have to plan for your retirement alone. Chris and the team at WG Financial Group have all their resources in place to help you. Stay with us. Chris will continue to answer some of your questions about retirement when we come back.
There are some things you can't avoid, but you can avoid overpaying taxes in retirement. You may think your taxes will go down in retirement, but that's not always true. In fact, sometimes your tax liability could go up. We're offering a free guide to show how you may be able to pay fewer taxes in retirement. Learn how different retirement accounts are taxed and options to help make your retirement income more tax efficient, all in easy to understand terms. Download this free tax guide now to help keep what's yours and avoid overpaying taxes in retirement.
You have a club for every scenario. A driver for the long holes. Wedges to get you over the hazards. And a putter for when you need a touch of finesse. What about your retirement? Will you have enough to play the back nine? Call to set your 15-minute phone visit today and let's find out. Get a second set of eyes on your retirement plan.
There are some things you can't avoid, but you can avoid overpaying taxes in retirement. You may think your taxes will go down in retirement, but that's not always true. In fact, sometimes your tax liability could go up. We're offering a free guide to show how you may be able to pay fewer taxes in retirement. Learn how different retirement accounts are taxed and options to help make your retirement income more tax efficient, all in easy to understand terms. Download this free tax guide now to help keep what's yours and avoid overpaying taxes in retirement. Just when you may want to forget your age, Uncle Sam says not so fast. Knowing your age is more important than ever when it comes to taking your required minimum distributions, or RMDs. Legislation just changed the age requirement, and not accounting for that could impact your retirement plan. It could be key to not overpaying on taxes in retirement. So remember, when it comes to RMDs, age is more than just a number. Before your next birthday, call today to secure a strategy for the RMD age change and your retirement.
You're watching the Rocket City Retirement Show with Chris Wallace.
Thanks for joining us on this special edition of the Rocket City Retirement Show. Today, we have been answering your retirement questions. Chris, we're digging into the Rocket City Retirement Mailbag. These are viewer questions, so I'm anxious to get into this again. Okay, first question comes from John in Meridianville. My father-in-law keeps giving us financial advice. He's really well-meaning, but it's starting to drive me crazy. Would it make sense to get a second opinion so I can assure him that we do have a solid financial plan?
I'm so sorry to laugh. This question is great. It's a great question.
Yeah.
But why is it funny to me? I raised a daughter.
Uh-huh.
And I'm a financial advisor. So what do you think I'm going to be doing when my daughter gets married?
Oh, big time. You're going to
my
be giving
goodness.
her and her husband financial advice.
My
Exactly.
goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, what a question. It takes me into the future, and like
True.
Maybe I need to be, conscious of how I act in the future. So this is a tough question actually, because, like I said, I raise a daughter. I'm super protective of my daughter. I want to make sure that my daughter is always taken care of, right? And that's what's kind of taking place here. Daddy wants to make sure that his daughter is taken care of, and so he's asking questions. So just remember that and give him some grace, depending on how aggressive the questions may or may not be, but just give him a little bit of grace. But I do think it's a good idea. I think engaging with a financial professional, again, I always like to say, whether it's us or someone else, engage with a financial professional just to make sure you've got things covered. There's the old saying that we don't know what we don't know, or you don't know what you don't know, right? It's important to know what you don't know so that you can correct some of the courses that you may be going down or the paths that you may be going down. I've seen people before that are highly intelligent. I mean, it's no secret Huntsville is the home to most engineers in the entire United States. A ton of engineers live here, a ton of PhDs, but at the end of the day, those people come in to see me and there's still room for improvement within their plan. So again, to answer the question, I would engage in a relationship. Just make sure you've got all the boxes checked that need to be checked. And then you can go and reassure dad or the father-in-law, your father-in-law, that things are okay.
And have a good conversation with him.
And have a
without
conversation.
Getting emotional.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Our next question comes from Catherine in New Hope. And she says, I've heard that when you delay Social Security, your benefits grow at 8%, which sounds pretty good to me. Should I just let my Social Security grow since it's a sure thing?
Yeah, so it's another really big misconception that's out there today. So Social Security does grow at 8% a year once you reach your full retirement age. But prior to that, so let's make some examples. So from 62 to 67, it's about 6% a year. But what most people forget is you're getting that growth, so let's just call it roughly 6% a year. You're also getting the cost of living that comes along with that. So we've seen here recently, there's been some nice adjustments to Social Security. So you're getting 6% a year plus maybe a 3% COLA. Social Security is actually growing at 9%. But again, once you reach your full retirement age, those delayed credits that she's referring to here is your Social Security is actually growing at 8% a year. But I've seen a lot of people make the mistake that says that, oh, Social Security grows at 8% a year the whole way through. That's not true. It's a false statement that a lot of people are just confused on. So at 67 through 70, it is 8% a year plus COLA. So whether or not you should let it grow really depends on your situation. I don't know if they're married. I don't know if she's the high income earner. There's a lot of other factors that go into that. Are we going to Roth convert before taking Social Security? What kinds of tax strategies and claiming strategies are we going to be looking at? I would say give us a call directly, set up an appointment. We'll help you make that determination, and that's part of our planning process at the office.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, next question comes from Rob in Decatur. And he says, what's the best kind of an annuity to buy? I don't want a bunch of stuff, just one simple place to keep my money.
Wow, you just said the A word on the air.
I know, I said the A word.
I wonder if they're going to bleep it out on TV, right? Okay, so this is a really deep question. This is a really, really deep question by Rob. So when it comes to annuities, there are multiple types of annuities. So let me try to break it down, and I'll try to do all of this before we get to a break. I look at annuities in like 4 different categories. You have your immediate annuity, or you can also have a deferred annuity. This is where you put a lump sum of money in, and an immediate annuity is where you're going to take income within 13 months of putting money in. You also have a deferred annuity, means you're going to defer for longer. Think of that like a pension plan. That style of annuity is like a pension plan. It's called a single premium annuity. if you're government employees, you call your FERS pension your FERS annuity. So very similar. So think of them as like kind of like brothers in a way, right? So the second type of annuity is what we would call a fixed annuity. So you can think of that, it's similar to a CD. Banks are FDIC insured, annuities are backed by the claims paying ability of the insurance company. So the annuities are not FDIC insured. I want to make sure that that's clear, but they behave the same because they're going to pay a fixed rate of return for a fixed period of time. So let's say you have a 5-year fixed annuity, it might pay 5.5% for 5 years. Same thing with a CD. It's going to pay a certain interest rate for a period of time. That's the second type of annuity. The third type of annuity is called the indexed annuity. And that means that it's going to track an index within the annuity. It's going to have a zero floor. You can't lose money with market, losses in this type of annuity. It's going to have some market upside. It's not going to get all of it, but it's going to have some. Those annuities can come with riders. They can get fairly complex pretty quickly. So you're going to want to work with someone who is savvy in explaining this to you on a level that can be understood and to make sure that it fits within your retirement plan. The last type of annuity is a variable annuity. And inside of that annuity are sub-accounts. Basically, they're similar to mutual funds, and they cause the balance to go up and down. And in this type of annuity, you can actually lose money versus the other 3 annuities where they all have floors on them. You can't lose. One pays a guaranteed income, one pays a guaranteed interest rate, and one gives you earnings based on the upside of the market, but no downside to it. The variable annuity does expose you to some downside risk because those sub-accounts inside of the annuity can go up and down. This annuity can also come with a rider on it. Typically, it's been my experience that these types of annuities are higher in fees, so you're going to want to make sure that you understand the fee structure. They are typically sold by brokers and such, so just make sure that you're really doing your homework. This is something that I'm incredibly knowledgeable in. I can sit down, I can go over these types of things and make sure that if you're looking for that, we can see if that would work inside of your retirement plan.
Right. And one thing is just to not be afraid of it. It's just a tool.
It's a tool.
So
Absolutely.
Just to look into it like anything else.
Sure.
So thank you so much again, Chris. So if you want to know ways to generate lifetime income, reduce your tax bill, and maintain your current lifestyle in retirement, reach out now to start planning for your ideal retirement. For Chris Wallace of WG Financial Group, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. We hope you have a great day and an even better retirement.
This program was sponsored by WG Financial Group, where your retirement matters.